Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and in this video I want to show you how you can create thousands of realistic fake data using a Nuget package called Bogus. Bogus is a brilliant package used across many projects, and I highly recommend it. I've personally been using it for a while now, and I can say that it is one of the best packages for this specific purpose. Before we dive into the code, I want to remind you that this video is part of my Essential Nuget Packages series, so if you don't want to miss any episode, please subscribe and ring the sub notification bell to get notified when I upload a new video. So let's dive straight into it. What I have here is just a simple console application with a single line of code here saying Bogus stuff will go here, and this is what we will replace to put the data generation here. And I'm just going to print it out in the console just for the purpose of this video, just to keep it small, but I will show you how you can infinitely create data if, let's say, this was a microservice that was long running and you wanted to create realistic data for long periods of time. So let's see what we have here. I have an order class, which has actually two classes in here. One is representing an order, something you paid for and you're expecting to come back, and it has just a order ID, a price, a currency, and then some billing details. And then the billing details, you have the customer name, the email, the phone, the address, and a bunch of other stuff. This is a very simple thing, and I'm sure that in the applications that you use, and I use as well, this is very common, or something along those lines. A customer, an order, a student, anything. Any sort of business logic object. So let's go back to program, and let's click on Manage Nuget Packages. I'm going to expand this so you can see. And I'm going to search for Bogus. And it's the first thing you're going to see here. I'm going to disable the pre-releases. I'm going to download the latest version. And I'm going to install it. And that's it. That's the only package that you need. So I'm going to close this. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new billing details object. Here we go. And then we have the order object. And let's just say new order. So these two objects, and really this billing details is a nested object within order. So order is what we really care about. Now you could do something custom and have your own, let's go on the order one, and let's say ID equals GUID.new GUID. But then when you get to the more complicated stuff, like for price, you could probably do something, I don't know, new random next, and then you can say, okay, between 10 and 100 maybe. But then what happens when you want more complicated stuff? For example, currency. What are you gonna do? Put an array of currencies here and then randomize over it? And what happens with the billing details? Because you will need here city, country, email, customer number, postcode. It's impossible to know all those things and randomize for them. So here is where Bogus comes into the picture. And I'm gonna delete these two objects. And instead, what Bogus gives us is the faker class. So what I'm gonna start with is the billing details, because it's a nested object. And I'm gonna say billing details faker. And I'm gonna create a new faker object, and the type will be billing details. And now this, coming from Bogus, will allow me to specify what type of data I want my faker to use to populate this object. So what I can do here is go to a new line within the same new faker implementation, and I'm gonna say rule for, and then here I can specify what I want to create the rule for. So I want to create a rule. Let's start with the customer name. So the customer name in this scenario is a full name. It's not the first name and second name. We just have a single property. So how do I define the rule for that? Well, you just do comma here, and you can use the one with the faker, and you can say x dot, and you can see here now that we have all these things, all these business logic things. Look, vehicle, system, random, phone, person, name, image. There's so many here. Finance, company. It's insane. And in fact, you can actually have extensions on those things. If I go back to Nuget, you can see that there's also Hollywood, text, healthcare, location. People are extending over it. So it's brilliant, truly brilliant. So what I want to do in this scenario is I want to go to .person, and I want to say full name. And now this faker will create a specific generator to return a full name for the customer name. And I can do this with everything. I can create a rule for, let's say, the email next, .email. And it's the same exact pattern. You can say, actually, we can do the same thing, person.email. It has that. In fact, here's everything that you have: full name, first name, website, email. And the great thing about it is that Bogus knows what's the full name and will actually create an email that's related to the full name. So if my name was Nick Chapsas, it would use something with Nick or Chapsas or both to create an email for me for that fake data set. And then something I forgot to mention here actually is that you can also have the locale. You can specify the locale, meaning potentially the language as well. So you can change this to Greek. I'm Greek, so if I want to use it with Greek, I could. You have Japanese, I think Chinese. You have many languages. I'm going to leave in the description a link where you can click and give Bogus a star because it's really worth it. I highly recommend you use it. And let's just quickly populate that so I don't have you here waiting and just to see me typing these. So what I have here is now phone. We'll create a person phone. The address line, we'll use the address class and then street address. City, same. Country, same. And postcode in the UK, zip code, I guess everywhere else. So now we have our billing details faker. And if I debug this and I step into the object once generated, as you can see, the locale is EN because it's English. Now this is probably not great for you, so what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to print this to the console. So I'm going to say billing details, and I'm probably just going to serialize that using the JSON serializer of dotnet Core 3. And I'm going to say serialize the object, and then let's just print it, I guess. So text equals this, and then console dot write line text. So let's just remove the breakpoint and debug this. Well, that's not what I want to do. Why is this returning? Oh, I know why. Because I have to actually generate the object. So that's just a faker for now. So I need to say generate. And now I will get what I want, which is, as you can see here, a user object. And as you can probably see, assuming I am zooming correctly here, is the customer name to be Laura Anderson, just a generic name. Laura@hotmail.com. Like I said, the phone is of the right type. You have an address line, a city, and the postcode and the country. Now, these might not actually match up, but they are realistic looking, and you told it how you want this to look. And remember, you can actually in here specify arguments as well. So for example, you can use the full address if you want to for the street address. The zip code can have a specific format. It's up to you to make those decisions for the data you generate. So now that we have the billing details faker, I want to show you how you can use that in a different faker, the order faker. So first I'm going to create an order faker here. I'm going to say new faker of type order. And same type of thing, I'm going to do rule for, and the first thing is the ID. And there's no fancy stuff here. I can just use the GUID.NewGUID method here for that. I don't need to use anything fancy. But for the rest, I can actually use something fancy. For example, the currency is supported under the finance category. So if I select currency and I go faker.finance.currency, you can see that I actually have other things as well in the currency, like description, code, and symbol. All I need is code. And then I will just quickly paste the finance amount that I want, just to not keep you here waiting. So all I'm saying is give me something between 5 and 10 in the finance.amount. And the last thing that I want for this faker order is the billing details. And the way I can do that is to just go and say rule for x.billing details, use the billing details faker. So you can specify a faker for a nested object. And now I can simply just say order.faker generate, and this will generate the full order. So if I just execute that, as you can see now, let me expand this. What I have here is an order ID, the price, which is a decimal as expected, the currency, billing details, like we saw before, everything is here, and it's all realistic looking. Now, let's take it a step further, like I said, and let's generate these forever. Let's say you want to turn this into a running service, creating fake data for your I don't know, your QA environment maybe. It's up to you to how you want to use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for each, and here I'm going to say orderFaker.generate forever. And this returns an enumerable that will keep generating data the more I call it in the loop. So this will never actually stop running. And I'm going to copy these and I'm going to put them here. I'm going to say order, and then I'm just going to print that. And for good measure, just because I don't want to spam my console, I want you to see this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say await task.delay 1 second. Obviously, this will not be accepted here because this is a void. So I'm going to turn this into an async task. Inject those in. So now it will delay and create 1 per second. So let's just run this and see what happens in the console. So as you can see, I have a new account with fake data, but realistic looking fake data, and you have full control over this. I'm just going over the very basics of the package because I want you to dive in and see how much customizable it is. There's no point in me spending 1 hour showing you everything. You have to mold this into something that you want to use. But the features on this thing are amazing, and I highly recommend you give it a like on GitHub. You're gonna find the link in the description, like I said before. Now, if I make this a bit smaller again and I stop this, something else I want to show you, last thing really, is that as you can see, this data is all randomized, but you might want your randomization to be deterministic, meaning the same execution will create the same random data, because you might want to do some optimistic concurrency checks or whatnot. So for that reason, you can use the randomizer static class and then the seed static random, and you can provide a new random for Bogus, where you can just create a seed. I'll create this random seed number. A seed is basically something that will drive how random things are generated in Bogus and in general in random in dotnet. And if I run this and I expand, you can see that we have lake, something I can pronounce, Flory, something I can pronounce, and I can't pronounce these things. But remember, lake and Flory. So if I run this again now, again, lake, Flory, the other thing I can pronounce, you will see that no matter how many times I run this, the random things that are created are deterministic. So that might be something that you might want to look into using. I think it's very useful to have. That's all I have for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching a very short and nice video on this amazing package. Special thanks to my GitHub sponsors for making these videos possible. If you want to support me as well, you're going to find the link in the description down below. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and ring the bell as well to get notified when I upload a new episode. And I'll see you in the next video. Keep coding.